Welcome to Narrow Ground Entertainment. I'm Steve the Unimpressed. This is episode 11 of COVID Besieged. Because one of my family members tested positive for COVID-19, I had to stay home from work for a while. I decided to make productive use of that time by recording a YouTube video a day until I was able to go back to work. Yesterday I spent a lot of the episode raiding houses up there, looking for the things that I need to make a chemistry station, and I'm probably going to continue doing that today. The one particular thing that I need is bottles of acid, and if I don't start finding some of those today, I'm probably going to assume that those don't start showing up in loot until I'm higher level and stop looking for a while. In order to increase my chance of finding those as much as I can, I am going to come into my skills menu and use the 2 skill points that I've been saving to buy the next level of Lucky Looter, which improves the loot that you find in the world. And I think I'm also going to buy the next level of Deadeye, which will help with my rifle skill. But before I do that, I mentioned in an earlier episode, I think it might have been yesterday, that with my iron tools, it seemed like the material required to make them might be increasing as I increased the perk that would raise the tool quality when I made them. So let me just check and see if that's true for tools. It might be true for things like the rifle as well. So let's see what the requirements are right now. 6 rifle parts, 15 forged iron, 3 duct tape, 3 springs. And then let's increase the Deadeye perk. Alright. And did that change the requirements? Yes, it did. Okay, so that answers that question. Now I need 8 rifle parts, 20 forged iron, 4 duct tape, and 4 springs. So that's a good thing to know. That's a new feature for the game. Or a new, handicap? A new challenge to overcome. When you gain the ability to make a better weapon, or better tool, you also need more materials to make it. And since the trader has now helpfully announced to us that he is open, let's go over there and divest ourselves of some of the extra schematics before we go raiding again. This is one of the piles of animal remains that I was talking about in the other episode that you can get rotten flesh from. So I'm going to start, there's another one up here. I'm going to start grabbing those when I run across them. That will allow me to get started in some of the agricultural things. Which in the long term is a much better way of providing food for yourself than searching bird nests for eggs constantly. There he is. Let's see if this works. Nope. Didn't work. What the? That did, though. I have achieved victory over the cougars. I've had a quick look around town to pick out my next structure to raid, and I think I'm going to start with this place, particularly the Crack-a-Book. This is going to count as a single point of interest, and this one is going to be much larger than the ones that I've raided in the past, so there will be a lot more zombies and it will take a lot longer. It might take me multiple days to raid the entire thing. I'm particularly interested in the Crack-a-Book because it has a lot of the bookshelf container, which is more likely to spawn the skill books or schematics for things that you would otherwise have to purchase through perks. All of that will be helpful. So let's head into that thing. That's apparently iron. Alright, I'm in. That took a while. Let's have a look around, clear the place of zombies, like him, and then check it out. If there were any more in this room, they really should have heard that. Opening into the store next door, we're going to ignore that for the moment. Looks like there's nobody else on the ground floor. Let's check upstairs. Oop, there's somebody upstairs. She didn't last long. You wouldn't really expect a bookstore this small to have a cafe in it. Help if I didn't miss. Alright, that looks like everybody in the bookstore. I'm just going to check the unit next door as well. Nope. I was just wondering whether these were the type that break open easily, and that question was answered for me. Alright, looks like this area is clear. Now there will be a way onto the roof of this building, so there may still be zombies up on the roof. So, hopefully, as I'm looting the crack-a-book, they're not going to notice that I'm down here. Okay, I fished through the stuff in the crack-a-book, and I have come back outside to place the usual supply chest in front of the building. I'm going to put all these scrap polymers and some other things in there. I did not wind up with quite as many books and schematics as I was hoping. What I mostly wound up with in there was paper. It looks like one of the changes they may have made was to use a slightly different bookshelf container in there than is used in the houses. And that container is slightly less likely to spawn books and schematics and a little more likely to just spawn random paper, which has its uses, but isn't as good as skill books. Still, I managed to get a schematic for a retracting stock, a schematic for a wooden bow, which will eliminate the need to purchase a perk for that, and I got several more skill books, including one from the Spear Hunter series, which is completely new, one from the Urban Combat series, which will help me a little bit with my raiding, and one from the Great Heist series, which will apparently let me fall quite a distance as long as I'm carrying a bunch of money with me. I'm not sure how much that will come into play, but now I've read it. And I've still got plenty of day left, so I'm going to head back inside and work my way into the next structure, or the next building over. See what we find in here. Hello. That could have gone better. Alright, this is just the storefront end. Is there a way up in here, or do I have to go into the bookstore to get up? Looks like I have to go into the bookstore. Already cleared out in this level. Okay, here's the freight elevator though, so that's our way further upstairs. Carefully, so as not to fall back down the elevator shaft. There's one. Yeah, I missed him. Nuts. Alright. Well, he's dead and I stopped bleeding before I died. Let's see what this injury is. Deep laceration. Alright, I'm gonna have that for a while, at least until I can make a bandage. So that is probably going to put not an end to my trip up here, but definitely a limit. I'll try to finish clearing out this floor, and then I will collect whatever loot I can collect from here, and then I will go home. Where's my spear? There it is. Nobody in that one. Missed him again. Not even gonna mess around trying to hit you with the baseball bat. Drop some loot though. The loot from zombie drops is typically fairly good. Oop. Those guys are tough. At least now I know how to get out onto the roof. I'm not going to venture out there, though. Not right now. Instead, let's concentrate on collecting what we can from this place. Well, I finished off with the storage place as well. Didn't find anything especially exciting. A few more schematics for items that I won't really be using very much in the near future, but they're good to have. I'm starting to run out of daylight, and of course it started to storm again, so I'm going to start heading back. I've already sorted out what I'm going to leave behind in the supply chest and what I'm going to take back, so I'm going to get home and hope that I don't run into any more cougars on the way. I have made it back home with no further incidents and sorted out my inventory and put some things away. Two of the exciting finds that I did make in those storage units were 23 forged steel, which is sort of the successor to forged iron. That's what you use to make steel tools and some of the more advanced items, including those ergonomic grip mods, which I may actually have enough forged steel now to make a few of. I'll have to investigate that. The other exciting thing I found was coffee seeds, which is exciting to me because I love coffee, but it's also useful in-game. If you have access to a consistent supply of coffee beans from farming coffee, then you can make coffee, which in this game gives you a stamina regeneration buff. So I tend to use it a lot when I'm mining. It helps out a lot with that because you don't get tired as quickly. Which makes now as good a time as any to try and make some farming plots, although I'm not going to set them up tonight. I can actually only make one. I probably should have been a little more diligent about collecting rotten flesh earlier on in the game. But one is better than none. So I'm going to go ahead and make that, and tomorrow I will plant at least one of those coffee seeds and probably run around trying to collect enough rotten flesh for more farming plots so I can plant the other one. I took another look at the skill menu after I made that farm plot and discovered that it is actually not nearly as expensive as I had been thinking it was to get the ability to make seeds. One of the things they did for this update was alter some of the skill perk progressions. The living off the land perk is the one that allows you to make seeds and harvest more items from crops. It used to have 5 different levels in progression. They changed that to 3. And I think the requirements for how advanced you need to be in the fortitude attribute have been lowered. So to be able to make seeds for vegetables, in particular the potatoes that I had mentioned in the earlier episode, I only need to get my fortitude attribute raised to 3 and buy these other 2 perks. So it's a total investment of 4 skill points. That's actually pretty worthwhile, and it will lower the amount of material that I need to craft farm plots, so I think I am going to start moving in that direction. I've got 2 skill points that I can spend today, so I'm going to increase my fortitude attribute 1 point and buy the first level of living off the land. That will allow me to harvest 2 items instead of 1 from my planted crops, and reduce the cost of farm plots, which I wish I would have investigated before I made that first one. So I can probably now make a second one. And my next 2 skill points I will probably devote to the next level of the fortitude attribute and the farmer skill perk, which will let me craft potato seeds without having to find a schematic for it. That's where I'm going to end this episode. Please give the video a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more content from me, and to help my channel grow, share it with your friends. Goodbye and God bless.